Russia thought Ukraine could never reach this target. They were wrong. And what happened next? Nobody expected. It was an attack that would shake the Kremlin, disrupt supply lines, and send shockwaves across the world. The Crimean Bridge, once a symbol of Russian strength, would be reduced to twisted steel and burning asphalt. To understand why this strike mattered, we need to go back to 2014. That year, Russia annexed Crimea in a move condemned internationally. But annexation wasn't enough. They needed a physical link between Crimea and mainland Russia. The Kerch Strait stood in their way, a narrow stretch of water between the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, separating Crimea from Russia's Taman Peninsula. The solution? Build the longest bridge in Europe. By 2018, the Crimean Bridge, 19 kilometers of concrete, steel, and political symbolism, was complete. It cost billions. Pause. And to celebrate, Vladimir Putin himself drove the first truck across it, smiling for the cameras. To Russia, it was proof that Crimea was theirs forever. To Ukraine, it was a scar, a reminder of territory stolen. From the start of the full-scale war in 2022, Ukraine had reasons to strike the bridge. It was Russia's main supply route to its forces in southern Ukraine. Ammunition, tanks, fuel, all crossed over it. But it wasn't just heavily guarded, it was deep inside territory Russia controlled. Most military analysts believed Ukraine couldn't hit it, at least not without Western long-range missiles, which it didn't have. And that's exactly why Russia thought it was safe. Dawn over the Kerch Strait. Civilian cars, freight trucks, and trains carrying fuel rumbled across the bridge. At 6:07 a.m., a truck rolled onto the central span. Seconds later, a blinding flash. A massive explosion ripped through the road deck. Asphalt crumbled, vehicles dropped into the water, and nearby train cars burst into flames, their fuel feeding an inferno that would burn for hours. A plume of thick black smoke rose into the sky, visible for kilometers. Videos flooded social media. Some showed the moment of the blast from security cameras. Others, panicked drivers running from the scene. Was it a truck bomb? Was it a missile? Could it have been an underwater drone? The truth still isn't completely clear. Russia quickly blamed Ukraine's intelligence services. Ukraine stayed silent at first, but in Kyiv, officials posted cryptic messages and smiles. The damage was more than symbolic. For weeks, Russia's supply lines to southern Ukraine were disrupted. Military convoys had to reroute through occupied territories. The flow of fuel and ammunition slowed. Civilian life in Crimea was also hit. Ferry lines grew longer, and prices for food and fuel began to rise. Moscow called the attack an act of terrorism. Within days, it launched some of the largest missile strikes across Ukraine since the start of the war. But the bridge, that once untouchable target, had already been scarred. Even when repairs were made, the memory of that morning remained. Russia believed the Crimean Bridge was beyond Ukraine's reach. But on October 8, 2022, that belief turned to smoke and fire, and the world learned a simple truth. In war, nothing is untouchable.